So now what we're going to do is we're going to jump in the office. So I'll show you first. This is sort of the view we get when we get ready to jump in the car, and for the endurance events you've got to do driver changes in about 12 seconds. So we jump in really quickly and sit down here, and then hey presto, we're in the car already. Swip the camera back around. So we're in the office now. This is car 22. I've actually never raced this car. This was a brand new car this year, so I've still only driven it a couple of times in testing. Let's have a bit more of a look around the office. So first thing you normally do when you sit down is do the belts up, so don't get too scared here. This is the crutch belt. I've got clothes on, so that's okay. We do our belts up. It's a bit hard one-handed, but you get the gist of it. So there's 2 waist belts, and then we have, I'll go swap back to the camera shot. Plays the game. Here we go. So we've got 2 shoulder straps that come down over us, and then we do the belts up. Then once we've done our belts up, obviously we're pretty ready to get going. The guys plug in our radios and our drink bottles. They go in just there. You see the plugs there? So that's the water for drink bottle, and then that's our radio one. So in the driver changes, James will do that for me, and I'll do that for him, and vice versa. It'll be in a practice session. Dave or Carl, the guys you met earlier, they'll do that for us. And then from here, what a lot of you guys don't see is all the apparatus and instruments that we've got to play with. So I'll run you through the normal procedure, which down here on our switch console is where a lot of the switches are that we don't need when we're driving around, because the switches we do need are up on the wheel. I'll start down here on the console, and the ignition is this one up here. The middle is for the master to go on, so I can turn that on, and on cue the lights come on and the dash will start working. I suppose it's okay to turn the dash on. There we go, it's making noises, and bang, there's our dash. So that works. We pull that down to ignition down here where we want to start, and the starter button's right there. So we push the starter, and normally everything else is ready to go. The gear cut switch here, that's down. That's so that when we pull the gear lever, in here there's a little micro switch that cuts the engine for about 25-30 milliseconds, so that we can flat shift down here on the pedals. We go throttle wide open, just pull gears through, and we don't touch the clutch. A few more switches down there. Sort of hard to see behind the roll bar there, but you can see there's our helmet fan, cool suit. So those two, they've got 3 different settings, and the lights down there show you how they work. There's the fan, some battery stuff if they put a second battery in at the Enduros when there's dramas with the first one. Fuel pumps, some lights. The indicators, funnily enough, you use them every now and again. Sometimes you'll use it so people can see if you're coming into the pits, so you'd flick it over to the left because you exit to go to pit entry on the left here at Queensland Raceway. What's record for? Potentially for data record or the in-car camera. It's a good question. It's one button I don't know the answer to, so hopefully they don't ask me to use that tomorrow. Anyway, back to switches and tags and things we play with. So on the steering wheel is everything that we use aside from the console that I showed you. So up here is our pit speed button there. So basically when we push that when we're in first gear, it restricts us to 40 k's. Acknowledge, so if we get an alarm on our dash or a pit confirmation or some message from the team, we push this button so they know we've seen the message or we know what's going on. The CPS lights here, so green is the co-driver light, red is the soft tyre light, or B for both. So obviously if you're on soft tyres and you're the co-driver, and you can see the lights changing there when I flick them on, you can just see the background of the light. This is for our alarm, so if we get an alarm, low battery voltage, low oil pressure, we can reset it. But generally if there's something quite serious like low oil pressure, we'll kill the engine before anything happens, internally to the engine. The windscreen wiper here, so there's 2 modes. I won't turn that in case they come on. I think they only work when the ignition's on, but I'd hate to scratch the windscreen. I'll get in a bit of trouble for that. So there's 2 settings there. Page, so we can scroll through our dash, change some pages on the dash. There's a fuel light there. Drink bottle, so when our drink's in, we press this and the straw's in our mouth and we get water come up there. And then lock, that's actually a handbrake. So what we do down here with the pedals, you push the brake down and then touch the lock button. It holds down the pressure where you've set with your foot. And what you do is then you can come off the brake pedal for a start, and you can modulate the throttle to where you need to be, and then just use the throttle and the clutch. So that makes life easy, especially if the main straight where you start's downhill or uphill. Finish off on the steering wheel just quickly. There's the track map for the weekend. So Queensland Raceway, I mean, it doesn't really look like much, but it's really technical, and you might wonder why we've got so many different numbers and colours on what is a basic track map. But to break it up to you, we've got, you guys see on TV that there's 3 sectors around the circuit, but what we do is we cut those sectors up into, in this track for instance, is 7 sectors. So the first sector is from the control line to this control line. Second microsector is turn 1 effectively, you can see it starts there, finishes here. Then the third microsector is from here through turn 2 all the way to the braking zone for turn 3. Then same for turn 3, this is another microsector 4. Sector 5 is the double left-hander in the middle, so 4 and 5. And then the next one here is basically to the exit of 6, and then you run onto your front straight. So it's really cool. We can break the track up into all these little sections. You know, Robbie on the radio might go tomorrow to me, Jacko, you're losing 2/10 in the blue sector, so I know straight away it's effectively really only turn 2. So they're really handy tools. Down here on the right hand side, that's our brake bias adjuster. So you can see it's got a little arrow. Let me just block the shade, the glare on it. Turn it to clockwise will give more brake bias to the front. So we touch that every now and again. I won't touch it tomorrow unless it's miles out from its configuration, because I won't burn through a lot of fuel tomorrow, and normally what changes the brake bias is the weight transfer and things. So that's the brake bias down there. Already spoken about the pedals. So it's like a conventional road car, throttle, brake, clutch, right to left. Throttle there, you can see it's got a plastic pad on it. What happens in the cars, it gets really hot because, you know, behind the firewalls, the engine operating at 100 degrees plus. So what happens is all that heat soak comes through the floor and gets the pedals, and when you're driving flat out down the straight the whole time and you're on full throttle, your foot gets really hot. So we do quite a lot to keep those temperatures under control and keep it a bit cooler. You see there a little bit of orange scat tubing. That's also air from the window to try and cool the pedal well down, because there's no airflow comes in there. What else we got here? I've shown you the dash, so that shows you basically on the left here, that's our front anti-roll bar position, so our anti-roll bar's there. If I adjust that, oh, there we go, up to 9, back to 8, and you just move so on and so forth, and that shows you so you don't have to take your eyes off the road. The bar next to it is the rear anti-roll bar, and then our brake bias. You see I was telling you about, if I move that, a couple clicks here, up to 7.3, 7.2. Shift lights up the top here, that's really important, we use them quite often obviously. Then on here, these are the co-driver and soft tyre lights. So if I turn the switches like I'm doing, you can see how it goes on and off, and that shows you, because as a driver you can't see the front of the light, so you got to know what's going on. What else we got up here? There's an in-car camera looking back at you, that provides all the cool footage for you. There's normally another in-car camera hidden around there. There it is, there's that in-car camera there. Rear vision mirrors there, it's like a normal road car. Side mirrors, they're really important. The window net's down. This is our dry ice box, and the red thing behind it's our drink bottle. So the dry ice box is pretty cool, and that's where we plug our cool suit into it. A lot of computer boxes, ECUs, CDI units and things sit down there. Everything you want it quite low. Low center of gravity is the object here, especially with any form of transport, but you know, race cars in particular, you want the center of gravity as low as you can get it. See there on the pit wall, there's James, Garth and Megs talking to what's Neil Crompton. Let's quickly go and say good day to them before my phone runs out. Let's go.